Thanks for tuning in to another show in the Next Reel family of film podcasts.
Want to skip those ads and get early access?
Become a member at truestory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it.
I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to the Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Ballerina is over. Do you like to dance? I know a school where they teach dance. I could take you there if you like.
To stop the assassin, you must become the assassin. You will always be weaker. You will always be smaller. You want to win? Improvise. Adapt. Cheat.
Welcome to the Continental.
Eve Macaro of the Roscaroma. What a pleasure to see you again.
You have no idea what you just walked into.
They killed my father. This isn't done until they're dead.
Fate is a very humbling thing.
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
Wow, you just perved out Winston more than anyone ever needed to.
I sure did. Perveroony. Ballerina. We're kicking it off with Ballerina. How did we get here?
Okay, so we're covering this for two reasons. One, because we did the John Wick series, and now that there's a new movie out, we decided let's add on this new film to that series of episodes that we had already discussed, John Wick 1 through 4. And here we are doing Ballerina. Also, we're, part of the process of this the rest of 2025 really is we're kind of celebrating 100 years of, movies have been around longer than 100 years, but we're celebrating films from the last 100 years, and we're going backwards, and we're starting in 2025 celebrating this film, and then we'll jump back 25 years in increments for our next few series. So anyway, here we are with Ballerina.
And that's the thing. You're the one who brought that level of planning and insight. My series were not nearly so appropriate to the theme. But I love that I get to ride along.
you get to come along for the ride, exactly.
It's like, this is what the season is going to feel like. Thoughtful Andy, thoughtful Andy, thoughtful Andy, ADHD Pete.
I hear they have a podcast for that, Pete.
I don't know anything about it.
Check it out.
Okay, so first, let's just do a reset a little bit about the John Wick cinematic universe. And the central question I want to get to is this. Were you looking forward to the John Wick universe expanding beyond the Wick franchise itself? And I could also say, referring to the Continental on Peacock, and now Ballerina. Was this something that you wanted and expected and were excited about?
I don't think I wanted it, expected it. It was something that I think the studio, the producers and the team over at Lionsgate felt that this franchise was a big surprise and a big success for them, and they wanted to keep it going. And I think Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves really felt like it had kind of run its course, and ending the way John Wick 4 did felt like a good finality to that storyline. And we kind of see John go through that whole process of revenge over 4 films, and they felt like it ended where it needed to end. But as studios are, there's the creative side of things, and they felt this was a great way to end it. And then there's the studio money-making side of things, and they said, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. My God, you guys, did you forget we're capitalists?
We can make so much more money from this. Let's keep it going. So they had the Continental series, which, it sounds like Chad Stahelski really wasn't involved with. And it doesn't sound like, because of that reason, it sounds like it kind of fell apart quite a bit. And then we'll talk about the crazy level of planning that they're currently doing for sequels and remakes, because there potentially are a lot. I don't know if that's changed with the release of this film and how it's doing in theaters, but they are intending on quite a bit of things. I don't know. We're also in an age of studios promoting films that they may or may not make. We see that with Star Wars, where they've talked about God only knows how many different potential new films and series that we're going to have. And then I think most of them have gone by the wayside. And that's potentially where we are with John Wick as well. So back to your question, once I knew that this was coming, I was a little bit excited, curious and excited. And I was like, hey, you know what? I've never been as like 5-star in a heart in love with the John Wick films as some people are. I enjoy the stunt work. I am incredibly impressed with what Stahelski and his team have put together with this franchise. And I always have fun. And I think that's the thing, is like, I walked into Ballerina going, at the very least, I hope I have a fun time with it. And that's kind of was my level of expectation with it.
I think I got more excited when I found out early on that they were doing this with Ana de Armas. I think she has a stunt fight bit in the latest James Bond movie that I thought was beautiful and elegant and showcased a physicality of hers that I think was just exceptional. I thought it was beautifully made. So I got really excited about it. Also, I have been a huge fan of the range that she's been able to bring, from Knives Out, which I thought she was great and had a really sort of subdued performance, subdued and panicked and anxiety ridden, and also kind of dominating by the end. It was a good turn. I think when I think of her, I think about that moment when Gosling gives her the remote projector in Blade Runner 2049, and we get this piece of emotional acting that I did not think she was capable of doing. So I was very high on the idea of this movie when the first trailer started to drop. And since then, it's been kind of a roller coaster, right? The movie had reshoots, et cetera. Stahelski came back in to do some things for it. Then we start getting these trailers with Keanu in them. And I thought, okay, what are we doing right now? Does the studio have faith that the franchise can exist beyond Keanu Reeves or not? I started losing hope a little bit, I gotta tell you. And then I saw the movie, and that's where we are today.
I just want to continue that thought first, because it's an interesting element.
Had you not considered that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I definitely think that, but I think that it's interesting just to kind of like look at the idea of these franchises that are being made, and especially when they are the foundation of the franchise is a person. Jason Bourne, we kind of had a struggle when Bourne Legacy came out, even though it's still kind of in that world, right? James Bond potentially is going to run into similar sorts of issues with Amazon now at the helm, and we know they're penchant for turning franchises that they buy into TV series, and we've already heard potential chatter about some side character James Bond shows, and I just don't know how well those would do or if people want them. And this is exactly the same thing here. It's the John Wick franchise, right? It was never born the universe of the Continental or of the High Table, right? It is the John Wick franchise. And they are now trying to figure out how can we keep this going by shoehorning these other stories into it. And that's the big question, as you said, like, are we going to have to find ways to continue including John in these as we move forward? That's a big question. And that leads us to a conversation about the film. And do you want to start this conversation about, well, let's just start with our initial thoughts. Let's just dig into that first. And then we can jump into kind of like this universe, the Ruska Roma, the High Table, the cult, etc.
Right. Okay.
So thoughts on the film.
There's so much of this movie that I think is solid. Like the way the movie moves is generally good, if clumsy. The stunts, the fights, that's what I show up for this movie for, were good. They were generally good. Were they what I think exceptional, as in the rest of the John Wick franchise? Did I see anything as straight up cool and innovative as like the over-the-top camera action scene that we got in the last John Wick movie? No. I felt like this was a bit of a retread with a new principal character. The new principal character, I think, is capably physical, right? I liked watching Ana de Armas fight. I think she's good at it. I'd like to see her do more. My principal challenge with the movie is I just didn't believe a single word anyone was saying. I think the script was not great. That's not to say that I thought the original John Wick scripts were great, but watching this movie helped me recognize that they were actually very, very good. And everyone that was written into the movie was believable in their role. Ana de Armas's words in particular were just, it's like they were written for a different actress. It felt kludgy, clumsy, under and overwritten in turn. That part I really struggled with, and I wanted so badly to love it. How about you? Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any issues with that stuff. I felt it was fine. It's all this strange underground universe that we're buying into, and so everyone's always kind of had some strange dialogue within it. You know, the talk about the Continental and the High Table, and like all of these different groups and their interactions and everything. So I think I can see what you're saying. I guess maybe it's just, it didn't really bug me too much. Like I didn't have any real script issues with this so much. You know, I felt that for the most part, you know, I enjoyed what they were doing in the universe. I thought it played okay. And if anything, I think, you know, we have a different director here, and I definitely could sense that some of the direction didn't feel quite as well handled through the story. And I think more than the script, I think that's where I struggled the most. And I'm trying to think. So the script on this one was Shay Hatten, who wrote John Wick, co-wrote John Wick Chapter 4. Which I liked, and he co-wrote that with Michael Finch, who hadn't been involved in the franchise and doesn't look like or actually is one of the writers on John Wick Chapter 5. So, Shay Hatten also was involved in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, one of 4 writers on that one. But Derek Kolstad, who wrote the first 2, also was co-writing that one.
But Derek Kolstad has moved on to like nobody, right? I mean, I know he's still involved in John Wick very much, but he's also like, he is a very capable originator of these ideas.
Yeah. Right. And so now this is Shay's single entry since Derek, this is the first script of this franchise that has had a solo story credit, screenwriter credit to it.
Right. So we have a solo writer and a new director.
Well, but an interesting thing about this, and this is, I don't know if this fits into this, but this was one of these scripts. I mean, Shay had written this script. It was a spec script called Ballerina. Lionsgate decided to shoehorn it into the John Wick franchise. They liked the tone of it so much that that's why they brought him on to work on chapter 3 and chapter 4. But yeah, this, I know we've talked about this in other particular series that we've covered before, but this is a separate script that they said, let's figure out how we can work it into this world.
Okay. I mean, when you're watching that, do you feel it?
I don't think I feel it so much because, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe because of this script, that's why they added the Ruska Roma and the Ballerina stuff that we saw in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. And they said, let's kind of use this script as the foundation for this whole idea. I don't know. I don't think I felt that necessarily, because it just also feels just another revenge story in this universe. Like it just didn't feel as successful, but I think I can see some of it might be the script, some of it might be the direction.
This is one of those movies where we've taken on this question before, and I think that this movie is actually one of the more successful explorations of shoehorning an alternate, unintended script into an existing universe. I did not feel like this was just jammed in here. It actually felt of a piece with John Wick. It felt like an intentional exploration of this expanded universe. And sure, some of that has to do with the extended reshoots and changes, but the overall feeling and the way they integrated the timeline, I thought was really weirdly charming. The fact that we had Wick at the ballet studio and we had the tattoo and the branding and all of that stuff that she was witnessing, I thought was really neat. Right? And if it were George Lucas, he would go back and remake the first one and include a digital Ana de Armas peeking through the door, which I think would be horrible. But the idea that this is placed in timeline, I thought was very successful. I really liked it. I thought that was good.
I didn't really have any issues with that, although I did have a question, because so this takes place at the point in John Wick Chapter 3 where he has turned in his get out of jail free card essentially to the Ruska Roma so that he can get away and flee the country, and that's what sends him off to Africa. And he has been excommunicado, as we recall from that film. Yet, why is it okay for the director, Angelica Houston's character, to then still call him for help? And so there were I actually have a series of questions, like story questions that I had, and that's one of them. It's like, why was that okay? Because I thought he's excommunicado. So is this an illicit call to John that no one else is aware of? I mean, obviously the cult is like another group that everyone knows about. So I'm assuming if they see John, they're just going to tell everybody, hey, the director called John on us and he's excommunicado. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't. I think you have a really good question. That's a good question, a good foundational question. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to unravel those particular questions. That one in particular felt to me like, and I'm sure this is faulty logic, like wasn't excommunicado, it just means he is like he can't count on her for help and everyone's out to get him and he can't go into the Continentals. But that doesn't mean he can't be called upon to clean up a mess.
I think your writing version of it in your head is exactly probably what they said in their as the writing team, or as Shay was.
And let's be clear, that's sloppy, right? For a universe that is generally pretty meticulous, that's a little bit sloppy and hand wavy, but that's what was in my head. I didn't have a huge problem with it.
All right. So other questions I have. Do you want me to just go through these?
Yeah, let's do this. Okay. This is good.
Okay. So so the story, is set up.
It's hard to even ask the questions.
No. I feel like I've got to do some setup, right?
Yeah.
So we know that Eve, her dad Javier. He's Ruska Roma. His wife is the cult, and the cult wants the daughter, and he kidnaps her, and so they kill him. So wouldn't that already be like some form of conflict, like with this 1,000 years of peace that they're interrupting? And and it's like, are they creating like this sense that the cult is so powerful that they can still get away with this and no one is going to respond?
Well, that's interesting because, again, headcanon. I got the feeling that this was considered their mess, the cult's mess, and they were going to take action to clean it up.
Wait, this being Javier or this
Javier kidnapping the girl and trying to escape. And so, given other things that are naturally taken care of in the John Wick universe, that would have been written into the doctrine of the 1,000 years of peace. We're going to take care of our own business, and you can't grudge us for that. This is considered our business. We're going to take care of it.
So the fact that Javier, even though he's Ruska Roma, the fact that he kidnaps, or he and his wife, presumably together, they try to make off with their daughter. The wife gets caught and killed for this. And so...
But she was cult.
It's odd that Ruska Roma still has no say in that situation when they kill one of Ruska Roma's own.
I'll give you odd. I'll give you unexplained. But I also think that they saw the girl as cult property and they wanted their property back.
Right. But again, in no way should it allow them to get away with killing one of Ruska Roma's in this so-called 1,000 years of peace.
Yeah, but what is peace between factions of murderous assassins, right?
Yeah, I know. It's all very odd.
Okay, what's your next question?
So she does
I love that these questions have put me defending this wackadoo movie. This is great.
I love this. I love this. Okay, so early in the film, once we've met Eve and she's started this world of becoming an assassin, we see her go on a hit, or let's see, is it the hit or is it when? Now, see, it's been long enough where I've seen this. I'm trying to remember. She comes stumbling out of the bar or wherever she had been in, and the cult immediately starts attacking her. Like they hit her with a car, and then they jump out and they're all trying to kill her. Right? Do you remember this scene?
Was this before or after the ice dance club?
The dance club, I think,
that was her first mission, where she's sent to get this girl.
Right. So she protects the girl. This is later. And it starts like she had just finished killing everybody, right? So we see her in like a bathroom or something, look at herself, and then we see that there's dead bodies on the floor.
Yeah, she comes out and it's just littered with dead bodies.
Yeah. So she sees everybody. And then she walks outside, and that's when she's crossing the street, and this car comes out of nowhere and just hits her, and then they try killing her. And that's when she learns that these are members of the cult.
Mm-hmm.
Why, at this point, are they trying to kill her? Like, it literally looks like they're targeting her. And there's nothing that had been set up as to why they would be targeting her at this particular point in time.
Okay. Headcanon response. The place where all the bodies are, we're all cult members. That's why they're all dead. She was in a cult facility.
But that wouldn't make sense because she's on a mission per the director, and the director knows that there is this long-standing truce that they have with the cult. They're not going to go in and kill anybody that's cult.
Oh, Andy, you might have me on that one.
See?
You might have me on that one. What I was going to say is the assassin Uber was late for those last guys. They just were tardy for the party.
Okay. All right.
But I think you're right. You one-upped me. You went one step back, and she would have known. Why would she have done this? Unless that's part of the setup. We're to understand that it was the director who assigned an anti-cult mission when she shouldn't have, and that's what gets everybody mad at each other.
I don't know. I struggled with that one.
We'll call that one a wash. All right. What's your next question?
This was a weird one. she goes into the Continental to protect this guy. This is Norman Reedus's character, he's also an assassin, and he is the son of the Chancellor, who is Gabriel Byrne, who runs the cult. He's trying to escape with his daughter, but the cult wants them back. So
it's a mirror of exactly what happened 20 years ago.
Right, exactly. So she's in here, she's going to kill him, and then she sees the kid and is like, oh, I guess I can't do this now. Other people use this as an excuse to come in and start shooting the place up, right?
And they're cult members.
Not just cult members, but all sorts of assassins. Like
she had upped the bounty on him from 2 to 4 million, which meant everybody wanted a piece of that.
Everybody wants to kill this guy now. So everyone's going after Daniel, and 2 in particular that break into the room first to start doing it. Nobody ends up getting killed, but they do this moment where Continental security, after this whole thing is over and she's helped Daniel and his daughter escape, Continental security has her and these other 2 people held, and they end up killing these other 2 because I thought it was because blood had to be spilled that they would actually do this. Like, they talk about killing, like, anyone who's killed somebody on the grounds of the Continental has to die. These 2 people didn't kill anybody. Everyone ended up making it out. And they don't kill Eve because she was only protecting herself. Did these other 2 people get killed because just for the simple fact that they started it?
I think so. I think it's playground rules in the Continental. That's what it is. They started it, and so they're dead.
All right. Here's another one. What is it about why is everybody so secretive about the cult? They seem fine talking about the High Table or all of these other different groups, but when it comes to the cult, they're like, oh, we don't talk about the cult.
Do you know, I wonder about this one. So what they're trying to set up is that the cult is somehow prime among peers in terms of killers. They are the most dangerous.
Are they trying to set that up?
I thought so. Like that was the only reason I could buy that they were so terrified of the cult, was that they were the most like unprincipled, violent group. And if you poke them, you're poking the dragon bear owl wolf, and it would come for you in the night. It was the scariest of the scary. Which is weird because all of the other factions are also giant groups of assassins who are well trained. In fact, those are the groups that principally or presumably trained every member of the cult, because aren't they all retirees of the other families? They're all ex assassins.
Are they?
Who decided to settle down in the mountains and raise a family?
I didn't think that. Did they say that this was the cult? That
I thought that's what that was.
I didn't think it was a town where people retired. I thought it was just their own weird little cult town where it's just like, that town in the border of northern Arizona next to Utah, where that cult guy like has all the, like, everyone there is like, having babies for the one guy. It's like these creepy sorts of towns. And I just thought they were trying to make it a sense that this particular town exists because the cult lives there.
Right. The antagonist group, led by Gabriel Byrne's The Chancellor, functions less like a traditional religious cult and more like a doomsday cabal of retired killers. These are the people who have become disillusioned with the High Table's rule, and instead of disappearing quietly, they formed their own shadow society. Their ideology is built around purging the world of corrupted operatives, those who defy the rules or stray from purpose, like Eve. That's what the cult is.
What?
He says it. When he tells her, he says, you got to come join us because you got to come be a part. Aren't you tired of taking their orders? That's what the cult is. Now you like it less. This is worse, just for you.
Well, it's just, it's odd is what it is. I don't know. It's especially because, like, I don't know. I struggle with it because it just doesn't really make any sense. But, this is a strange world anyway. I don't know if that makes it any worse or just stranger for me.
Many of these cult members were once part of the same assassin ecosystem, trained in arts like ballet, combat, and etiquette, naturally the big three, and have since radicalized. This is the evolution in the John Wick mythology, the idea that the underworld isn't just an economy of blood, but a belief system, and belief systems, when fractured, give rise to extremism.
Are you on the John Wick wiki?
I love wiki fandom pages.
The John Wick one is pretty robust.
So I think that they're trying something new. Now, the question is, does the cult live beyond this movie?
I mean, I feel like now that it's been brought up, they'll probably mention it in passing, I'm sure. You know, it's just one of these things where these different elements kind of keep popping up in one way or another. I don't know if it needs to be brought up in a big way, but I don't know why it wouldn't be, you know?
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
All right, my last question. How does Winston end up at the police station in the first place? Like, was he tracking her? Like, what about that moment makes sense as far as him just showing up suddenly to pick up little girl Eve at the beginning after she escapes when they kill her dad?
I think that question is important, but also kind of answered in the fact that Winston, as the proprietor of the Continental, is sort of a character of magical realism, right? There's stuff that he's allowed to know because of his network and his system that we don't get to see, but it makes him look like an oracle.
It does.
So I honestly never questioned why he ended up there, because he kind of knows everything that happens in the world of assassins. So why wouldn't he know that there was this attack and that the girl survived and that he could maybe make use of her someday?
I can see that. I also think that there's some level where some of these different parties can use Winston as a vessel for getting things done because he's theoretically neutral, right?
Right.
And it's entirely possible that even though there's this 1,000-year peace in this, there's still kind of this conflict between Ruska Roma and the cult, particularly because the cult killed this Ruska Roma member, Javier. It's entirely possible that the director had been kind of tracking all of that and told Winston, I need you to go pick up Eve and bring her here. Like, that's possible.
Yeah. It's all part of the network that Winston is kind of at the middle of.
Although now I'm trying to remember, when she first is dropped off at the ballet school, does the director act like she knows who she is? I can't remember now.
That's a good question. I don't remember having seen it just the once. I don't remember how she was affected.
Okay.
Mostly because how could you tell anything about how Angelica Houston was affected in this movie? She made no face motions.
She was fine. Yeah, I just enjoy still seeing Angelica Houston. I've always enjoyed her, but yeah. And it's just, I don't know. I kind of always chuckle when I see her in this particular franchise because of everything she's done. This just seems like such an odd turn for her, but
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but I kind of enjoy it. So, yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about just the story. And I mean, a lot of these questions were the story and issues with the story, but also some of the direction. And then I think that we definitely want to talk into some of the stunt work, because that's clearly what this franchise is probably most known for.
Yes, the principal big stunt scenes.
I mean, I know you struggled with the script, but as far as the plot and the basic concept of it, do you kind of buy into this revenge story that she has?
Yes, because I'm a sucker for John Wick revenge stories. I really am. And so I don't think that some of the quibbles that you just brought up, they didn't hit me because I allowed myself to get very much into this movie. And the fact that it was a parent-child kind of a rescue, it felt like something easy to believe that Eve would get, sucked into it to the point that she would violate norms that have been set up in the universe. I bought all of that. So in terms of the story, it was good for me. I had a good time. It's really just the way the characters were written, the way they performed their roles from the script that gave me trouble. That was it. Also, Lance Reddick, man, come on. We get one more Lance Reddick this far after. That's extraordinary.
I think I largely agree with you. I enjoyed the story, the concept of this. Again, I felt like Shay had done an able job of adapting his previous script into this world. Like I felt like this felt like it kind of fit in with all of this. And so I enjoyed this different revenge story that we had and the way that it played. I definitely do have some of these, like the quibbles are going to be ones that will always pop up in my head as I rewatch this because things just aren't necessarily always going to make sense. I felt like, if any of the John Wick stories I struggled with just kind of some of the story concepts, this one seems like the one that is probably going to give me the most trouble. But I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I still enjoyed it. And I don't know if I had as much struggle with the script as you did, as we've already said, but I do think it's understandable. And I think perhaps that, gives us room to chat a little bit about Len Wiseman. We've talked about Len's films a few times because we've discussed both Live Free or Die Hard when we did our Die Hard series, and we did the entire Underworld franchise. And so, of which he directed, I think, 2 of the 5, and then he was producing the rest of them. So Len Wiseman in this particular world, I can see why they would say, yeah, let's bring Len along because the Underworld films are kick-ass female protagonist in a world full of crazy action sequences. Live Free or Die Hard is another crazy John McClane story. It seems like it should fit for Len Wiseman to jump into this world, but for some reason it didn't completely work for me.
I know. And it's really interesting because I think after the John Wick movies, I think so highly of Chad Stahelski, and knowing that there were 3 reportedly 3 months of reshoots with Stahelski uncredited at the helm and Wiseman not involved at all. Of course, now we're getting what could be dubious reporting and rumors, but I mean, that just seems like the production was marred by chaos at the top, and that doesn't lead always to a great final product. Sometimes it does, but not always. And I wonder what the original Len Wiseman cut looked like. And maybe Len Wiseman's fantastical violence and Underworld does not translate to John Wick style violence. Maybe that's the issue. It didn't feel as sufficient a John Wick style movie as I wanted it to, in spite of some really neat stuff.
Yeah, and it's always tricky when you hear these stories because, yeah, there were stories about several works of reshoots and Stahelski 2 to 3 months of reshoots, refilming the majority of the movie without Wiseman around. But then they both refute it, saying it's just 2 weeks of additional photography and Stahelski oversaw it with Wiseman. You hear all these different kind of conflicting reports, and I think to some extent it's the studio media managing to make sure that everything sounds copacetic and that things are going to all be okay to get people to come to see the film instead of making it sound like a disaster. So it's always hard to gauge, and so we're just left kind of looking at what we have, and it makes me wonder, like, is the Keanu Reeves edition one of the things that they decided to do to reshoot, It
makes us cynical, I think, for thinking that, but I wonder that too, that this was a move that came because they didn't have faith in the original direction.
Although as I look, it looks like Keanu Reeves was one of the early people that had said was going to be coming back to kind of continue. But who knows? Was he involved in that final fight, or was it just the moment in the ballerina school? I don't know.
You know what I hate so much about it is that I wanted Eve to be a badass. I wanted her to be a complete badass. I wanted her to be sufficient to do the final stuff without aid of John Wick in a sniper nest, right? And we didn't get that. And that felt so catty, right? It was just like why? Why did we not get that opportunity to see her ultimately succeed without aid and pay the price?
Well, but you're making it sound like he contributed a lot more to the aid than than he really did. Like, she does most of the work.
The contributing at all is my problem.
He only kills one person, right? Isn't there just one moment when someone is coming up and that's it? Otherwise, I think she does prove herself pretty able. So, I mean, I can see that point. And yeah, I think it would have been better if they just didn't have him take that shot and just have her figure it out on her own, because his whole thing is he's there to assassinate her, right? And that's kind of like the whole thing. The director hires him to kill her to kind of keep the peace, essentially. That's kind of the whole thing. And so he gives her, they have this meeting in the snow, and he says, look, you can have until midnight. If you don't solve this by then I am going to kill you. And that's essentially what we get with him, aside from they do have their own little fight and everything. But I think for the most part, I think that they largely make it work as far as bringing him in. Like, I didn't struggle with that as a concept. And in the scope of the story about Eve and her journey to avenge her father and kind of try to bring down this group, I thought that it was kind of fun to watch. And in particular, I guess I enjoyed it so much because, I mean, the stunt sequences that we have earlier in the film are fine. They're nothing great, but by the time she gets to this little town of Hallstatt, I just really enjoyed everything that they did with all the stunt sequences. Like, it was kind of fun to watch this entire town come after her. And, we have a lot of different fight sequences that stood out to me. And I had a great time with it.
Let's start with, because we're in the Alpine environment, let's start with the Alpine restaurant duel. This is the plate fight, the legendary plate fight. This is one of the things that I thought was really fun and kind of frivolous, is having them go after each other with plates. Reportedly, this was one of the hardest fight scenes to film from a production perspective, because the breakaway plates kept breaking away too easily, and they kept running out of plates. And so it took much longer than anticipated getting all the replacement plates in place to plate one another. I thought that was great. I thought it was fun.
It's a fun sequence, and I enjoyed, that was a moment that really helped give us a sense of what we were about to experience in this place, where she shows up and suddenly everybody's eyeing her, and then we learn they're not running out of the place away from the fight. They're going to get ready so they can come back and participate. I enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun, and this fight, I thought, just gave us a real interesting sense of the introduction to this town.
Yes. And I mean, you're absolutely right. They all run away. But one of the nice things about that entire sequence, her introduction to the town, is that around every corner in that chase up and down that mountain hillside, there is another person hanging laundry or something like that who happens to have a gun in their belt. Like, they're all crazy armed. And that level of fun and surprise, I thought, was really well executed.
I can't imagine accidentally driving through this town.
Yeah.
Like, being a tourist, like, especially on this particular day, to come driving through and like, what the hell? Where are the police? There's like people all over trying to shoot each other.
While we are talking about cold things, let's go to the completely out of order, the icy club sequence.
Yeah, the first real job that she's given.
Right.
Which fits very much into the style that we've had with some of these John Wick films of creating this look of these clubs that have fantastic, like, blues and purples and pinks, neon, and just the whole thing glows and creates this atmosphere that I think it's almost become kind of a key part of this franchise, of having a scene like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, this is the one she also is using ice skates as weapons.
No, that's later when she's in the little boathouse in Hallstatt.
You're right, which was also fantastic. Like, that was a really inventive kind of use. And I think it does, one of the things that Wick does very well is it makes it look hard for our protagonist to do their job. Like, she was stumbling and sliding around and still able to ultimately do it, right? It made her work. And I think that was really great. But yes, you're back to the icicle place. The nightclub itself was really fun. And it was the most Wick style. I mean, it was just like slick choreography, and it was a solid, if not slightly predictable, John Wick style fight scene with a lot of good stunts.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, the crazy stunts or anything. Like, it was fine. It was fun, and we just are essentially watching her kind of complete her mission of protecting this heiress that she's set out to do. And it plays fine. It's a beautiful location, and they made it look good, and it worked.
One of my favorite sort of sequences in a sequence was the grenade fight. What did you think of that?
That was another, the grenade fight was fantastic. Like, the whole idea of using those to fight. This was when she goes to the weapons guy, and they go into his back room, and then the cult is coming after them. And so he ends up sneaking into another room, and she follows him and is kind of helping her, and fighting with grenades. There was some really inventive moments, like throwing the guy behind the door with a grenade and like a giant freezer door, and then using it to shield herself from the explosion.
Same thing with the table flip shot. That was extraordinary.
I don't know how it's interesting. This is a world where, as long as there's something between you and the grenade, apparently it's not going to damage the thing between the two of you. And also the noise is apparently also not going to blow out your eardrums. Like, apparently, like, you're totally fine as long as there's something between you and that grenade.
Andy, surviving all of that is why she was sent to ballerina school. That's what they learned. Is about all ballerinas are equipped to handle that.
How to strengthen your eardrums.
It's pas de deux and how not to blow out your eardrums with a grenade.
In a grenade fight.
And bloody toes. Man. Also that. Okay. Loved that. The Eve John Wick duel.
This was something that I was wondering if, was part of the reason that they wanted to do some reshoots, because they felt like they wanted to have John Wick in some action. I thought it played fine in the scope of the story. I could buy into it. Sure, he's been sent to assassinate her. He's going to confront her and have this whole conversation. And it actually worked for the town sequence too, because it allows a breather for everyone in the town to stop attacking her, because they're like, oh, hold on. Like, they've got the guy in the bell tower or whatever who's like watching and saying, hey, the guy's here. The Baba Yaga has arrived. We can all just chill now because he'll take care of our problem.
Have a snack.
Yeah. So it was fine. It does make me wonder, if we continue the sequels in this world, are we going to keep hitting this point where they're like, yeah, but we need to get John in here and they need to fight at least once?
Yeah. Is that sustainable?
Right.
I wonder. I like the fight because it is this combination of action and sort of mentorship, weirdly. Like, we've already had that exchange with her asking him much earlier in the film, how do I do what you do? And he says, looks like you already are.
Yeah.
I don't know how he knows that. Like, she really is just dancing and falling on her ass all the time. But I like that mentorship arc. I think that's fun. I find that this fight itself, I don't know, does it strain credulity as much as all of your quibble questions from earlier? I just felt like if John Wick really wanted to take her out, he would have done it much faster.
Well, I think that's the thing, is like, I don't think he does, because I think he recognizes her as somebody who's like him, just looking for resolution to something that, somebody else brought upon him. And so he wanted his revenge, and he recognizes that in her. And I think he's hesitant. And so I think, I absolutely think that he could have taken her out very easily if he wanted to. But I think that's just, part of his character.
Fair.
Yeah. It's not, I struggled with it, but I enjoyed what they did with it. And I think that's where I landed with it overall. Like, I think the cult is like the dumbest name that they've come up with in this entire franchise. I think that they could have done something so much more original than just call it the cult.
Hate it.
But I liked this idea. And I mean, honestly, I had fun with the story. Like, I think there are some fun action sequences that made it a very easy to watch film. it's the least of this franchise thus far, but I still had fun with it.
I think the measure for me is if I'm going to sit down and watch the John Wick franchise, as I am known to do, will I throw this movie in the continuity? And the answer is absolutely yes. Like, I will. It's part of it. It's part of John Wick's story. It's part of the universal progression. And I'll watch it again for sure. Is it? But like you said, is it great? No, it's not great. But is it worthy? Sure.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Sure, it stands.
And I'm curious to see if they continue it.
Hope they do. I still haven't watched The Continental. It got a little bit panned in my social circle of entertainers.
Well, Chad Stahelski himself panned it. He was pretty verbose about his opinion on the decisions that they made with that, and the fact that he was not really even consulted for any creative opinions or anything. And just kind of like they went on and did it, and it is what it is. But he was...
Did you watch it?
I didn't.
Yeah. I feel like one of us should take that on.
Go for it.
You're not going to...
I'm not going to do it.
Fight me over it? Please? Will you please fight me over it? Do you know what this... We also didn't mention the flamethrower sequence, like the big finale sequence we didn't talk about.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it was a stunning sequence to watch of just this massive amount of flame shooting at people. Like I loved watching the sequence. It was just glorious. And again, just goes to show that they really pushed to up their game with their different stunt sequences.
And I was just listening to Smartless, and oh my goodness, it wasn't Stahelski. Who's the other big time stunt guy that we talk about sometimes? That's going to hurt my head. Anyway, he was talking about how just the technological advancement to these old school stunts, like falls are now done with crazy, wire rigs and deceleration rigs, and just being able to jump off a 10-story building and land in a mat is an old school skill that some people don't have anymore in the stunt business. Same thing with getting lit on fire. And there is a new gel technology that they use that means you don't have to wear big bulky suits. They can just cover your entire body in this gel, and you still look like the actor, and you can see the actor through the flame, but you can be on fire for longer and do old school practicals with flame and not have to use CG. And that's what I was thinking about in this movie. It felt like they lit more people on fire than I have seen in a long time.
It's interesting because there has been so much evolution in the world of film, as we've talked about. I mean, the effects world is constantly finding ways to evolve and improve and do things so that you don't necessarily need to have, like, put actors at risk on sets and things like that. And you can just do some things with CG. But then you have the flip side of that, where people want to still see real things happening. And so, you also are having similar evolutions in the world of stunts. And I think that's exciting because it allows for some incredible creativity when you come down to things like this.
And it's David Leitch.
There you go.
That's who I was talking about.
Okay, well, we'll be right back. But first, our credits.
The Next Reel is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Andy Nelson, music by Soleil Fleur, Zero, Will Van de Cromer, Oriel Novella, and Eli Catlin. Andy usually finds all the stats for the awards and numbers at the-numbers.com, boxofficemojo.com, imdb.com, and wikipedia.org. Find the show at truestory.fm, and if your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show. Right. Let's talk about something that truly matters. No, not the economy, not climate change, not whatever our dear friend of the show, Elon Musk, tweeted at 3 a.m. No, I'm talking about movies, and more specifically, keeping track of the movies you've watched, the ones you pretend you've watched, and the ones you've watched but still aren't ready to admit you liked. That's where Letterboxd comes in. This is the social network for film nerds, cinephiles, and people who still list heat as a personality trait. With Letterboxd, you can log films, review them, rate them, make lists like movies where a dog dies and I'm never okay again, or films that gently mock capitalism while still being distributed by Disney. And if you want more, like stats, filters, no ads, or the ability to pretend your opinions are somehow objective truth, you can upgrade to Pro or Patron. And here's the good part. You, our dear, tastefully overcommitted listener, can save 20% on that upgrade with code NEXTREEL. That's NEXTREEL, like the podcast, but also like the film reel, because branding. So go to letterboxd.com or download the app and start logging, because if you're going to spend your weekend watching 3 different cuts of Blade Runner, the least you can do is keep a record of it. Sequels and remakes, Andy. Good Lord.
I know.
What do we have in store?
If all of these happen is always the question. Like I said earlier, it's like the Star Wars sequels. It's like, are they ever going to make half the ones that they've mentioned? Who knows? So far, this is what we've heard about. There's potentially a Kane film coming, as of yet untitled, but they are theoretically still in talks with that one. There's an untitled anime prequel film that they're talking about. They love the idea of doing something in anime with this world, and they thought a prequel would be a great place to go. Of course, we've already heard about John Wick Chapter 5, which really doesn't make sense since he's, spoiler alert, he's dead as of the end of the last film.
Not if he comes back a cyborg, Andy.
Right, I know. There's always ways.
Another family, the Ruska robots.
They've talked about Ballerina 2. That's the one I'm most curious about, if they're actually going to drop it if this one doesn't succeed as well as they want it to. They've talked about a crossover film, several crossover films, one with the world of Atomic Blonde, the other with the world of Nobody.
Okay. Has there been any Atomic Blonde universe movie?
No, just Atomic Blonde, right?
No, just the one. And they should stop. It's great. It's a better movie than this one.
All right,
okay.
Let me keep going.
Yeah, you keep going.
They've talked about potentially a Sophia film. This would be, I think they really loved the dog work that revolved around her and her dogs in John Wick Chapter 3. And so they wanted to kind of continue that. They've also mentioned the Bowery King film, following his world of kind of like the homeless world of
homeless assassins.
Homeless assassins. And last but not least is another TV series potentially called John Wick Under the High Table. And I think the idea with this one was that it was going to be further exploration of where things go with the High Table after the end of John Wick Chapter 4, as far as like the control and who's running things. And I think that was the idea for that one.
I can see that, actually. I could see that being kind of a Succession style power broker show.
Yeah, that would exactly be how it would play. And I think that if Stahelski is involved and behind it and kind of involved in kind of the plotting and planning, maybe it would be worth it to watch,
Yeah. Okay. How is it, let's see, doing in award season? Is there anything worth talking about yet?
Surprisingly, there already is. It's already had one win with one other nomination at the Golden Trailer Awards. This just happened. I'm not exactly sure when their window of time was, but it crossed over enough where their trailer was nominated for Best Action Trailer, and it won Best Action Trailer, and then it was also nominated for Best Summer 2025 Blockbuster Trailer, but it didn't win that one. It lost that one to Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So sure. Okay. I guess I can see that one. And then Ana de Armas has already been nominated. There's a new award that I didn't realize. We've heard of the Critics' Choice Awards.
Of course.
Well, apparently they were jealous of the Saturn Awards getting all the buzz for all of their great praise that they were doing for genre films. Well, the Critics' Choice now have what is called the Critics' Choice Super Awards, which is it because of superhero films? I don't know, but it's really the stupidest name. Anyway,
oh dear.
They've announced nominees. The actual awards haven't happened yet. So right now, Ana de Armas is nominated in the Best Actress in an Action Movie category, along with Anya Taylor-Joy for Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, Kayleen Spaney in Civil War, Kirsten Dunst in Civil War, June Squibb in Thelma. I love that she's in there.
Yeah.
And Emily Blunt in The Fall Guy. So
interesting.
We'll see what ends up happening with that one. The nominees were just announced June 11th, so I don't know when the awards are.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's where we talk about numbers that I imagine we probably don't know enough about yet.
Yeah, well, Wiseman had $90 million to make his addition to the Wickiverse. It's been a while since we covered this series, but as a refresher, the first one cost $30 million, the second and third $40 million each, and the fourth one cost $90 million, just like this one. Was that a risky budget for the first film of the franchise to not feature John Wick as the lead? Remains to be seen, as it's still in theaters. The movie opened June 6th, opposite Dan to Dan, Evil Eye, Dangerous Animals, The Ritual, I Don't Understand You, and the limited release of The Life of Chuck. The movie opened in second place, unable to dethrone the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake, but pulling ahead of Mission Impossible 8. So now we are recording this on Friday, July 27th, 2025, as we like to keep our July clear to rest a bit. So as of today, the movie's earnings is just under $53 million domestically and just over $53 million internationally, for a total gross of just over $106 million. Right now, that puts it with an adjusted profit per finished minute of $130,000, so it looks like it's barely breaking even. But having already dropped from second to now fifth place after its first week, and taking into account all the print and advertising costs that we rarely get access to, this is looking like it's going to be the weakest entry in the franchise. I guess we'll see if John Wick fares any better. Who knows? But this might actually convince the studio there's no financially viable way forward unless John Wick is the protagonist. So we'll see how things go.
Is there a rough way to guess prints and advertising costs based on production costs of the film?
Sometimes they say, half it and it's that much. Sometimes they say double it. It's all over the place as far as what it can be. With big budget movies in particular, they say it could be as big as the budget for the film was. It could be $180 million total that they're looking to even break even.
That's what I'm wondering. And I'm wondering, we're at an interesting time because, again, as we record this, F1 just came out, and that is reportedly a very expensive movie on the production side. And if you have been awake in the last 3 weeks, you realize just how expensive this movie has been on the P&A side. They have put a massive amount of money into advertising this thing in domestic and in TV and digital ads, in the haptic trailer that you can watch on your iPhone, in social media, in trailers, in putting... it's just been an extraordinary tour of expenditures for that movie. I'm really curious if there's even an orbit that it could hit to make that movie. So we'll talk about that coming soon.
Yeah, well, I had fun with this one. It fits, roughly into this universe for me. It made me ask a lot more questions that I should have been asking when I watch a movie like this. And so that's frustrating, but I still had fun. And I guess that's where I landed with it.
Me too. I'm right there with you. I had a good time in spite of a pretty significant quibble. And it makes this, for me, lowest of the low, but still good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be right back for our ratings. But first, here's the trailer for next week's movie. Continuing our celebration of films released the last 100 years, we're jumping back 25 years to the year 2000 to kick off our Silver Screams 25 Years of Ju-On series, starting with Ju-On, The Curse. In the world we live in, there's the surface layer that everyone sees, the daily grind, the routine, the familiar. But for those with a keen eye and a curious spirit, there's a whole other world waiting to be discovered. A world of passion, of dedication, of delving deeper into the things that ignite our souls. For film lovers, that world is the next reel. On the surface, films are a form of entertainment, a way to escape the everyday. But for the true cinephile, there's so much more. They're an art form to be studied, appreciated, and endlessly explored. There's a lens through which to view the world, to understand ourselves and each other. They're a passion that demands to be shared. That's where the next reel comes in. Like a secret society for film enthusiasts, the next reel invites you to step behind the curtain, to explore the depths of your love for cinema. Our team of expert guides, trained in the art of appreciation, is ready to lead you on a journey of discovery, unearthing hidden gems, dissecting beloved classics, and always pushing the conversation further. By becoming a member at truestory.fm/join, you're not just gaining access to exclusive content, though there's plenty of that. With monthly bonus episodes, you'll dive deep into the heart of cinema. With early access to ad-free new episodes and a personal podcast feed featuring in-episode bonus content, you'll always be one step ahead, privy to insights and perspectives you won't find anywhere else. You'll witness the magic unfold in real time with access to live stream recording sessions, and in the exclusive Discord channels, you'll find a community of kindred spirits ready to engage in lively discussion, friendly debate, and share a celebration of the medium we all adore. And the best part? Membership starts at just $5 a month. For less than the price of a movie ticket, you can gain access to this rich world of cinematic exploration. Or for the truly dedicated, an annual membership at $55 offers even greater value. But more than anything, your membership is a declaration of your love for film, a sign of your commitment to supporting the podcasts you love. In a world where surface-level takes often dominate, you'll be part of a community dedicated to preserving and promoting the depth, the complexity, and the sheer magic of the movies. So are you ready to take the leap? To dive beneath the surface and explore the rich, rewarding world of cinema that awaits? If so, then don't hesitate. Head to truestory.fm/join right now and become a member. That's truestory.fm/join. Because with the next reel, loving film isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life.
Letterboxd, Andrew. Letterboxd.com/the next reel. That's where you can find our HQ page, and this is where we assign stars and hearts that have been meticulously accounted for across the arc of our lives in measuring, rating, and reviewing film. And as we know, there are a limited number of stars, and you have to say where you're taking stars away to rate this movie. I'm still carrying on. What are you going to do with it, Andy?
I'm going to give it 3 stars. 3 stars and a heart. I had fun with it. It's an enjoyable film. It's got some parts that, I struggle with, but it's still going to be an easy one to revisit. So 3 stars and a heart feels appropriate.
It's exactly where I am, too. Exactly where I am. Those 2 stars, they fall from the script, but everything else was solid. I had a good time.
Yeah. Well, that averages out to 3 stars and a heart over at our account on Letterboxd at The Next Reel. You can find me there at Soda Creek Film, and you can find Pete there at Pete Wright. So what did you think about Ballerina? We would love to hear your thoughts. Hop into the Show Talk channel over in our Discord community, where we will be talking about the movie this week.
When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Letterboxd giveth, Andrew.
As Letterboxd always doeth.
All right. What are you going to do? How'd you pick? Got some very fresh ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, considering it's only been out for 2 weeks, they're all pretty fresh. I went with a 3-star by Bobby Wagner, right up the line where I was, who said, sometimes you just have to watch a beautiful woman shoot people in the head for 2 hours.
All right. You took mine. That was good. That was it. That was a steal. In this case, I will say this from David Chen with a 4-star and a heart. Ballerina's plot and characters are threadbare even by John Wick standards, and that's saying something. But the action is just unbelievable. This movie is 2 hours long, and I estimate about 80 minutes of that is straight, uncut, late-stage John Wick-style level of quality action. There are some really innovative action ideas, especially involving military hardware. At one point, after a particularly audacious sequence, a guy behind me exclaimed, "That is absolute cinema." Indeed, sir, it was. That's like, it's poetry.
Yeah.
It's John Wick poetry. That's what that was.
Exactly.
That's all I have to say. Thanks, Letterboxd.